Like, does anybody else think that's crazy, or is it just me? Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Our story is regarding China threatening Japan with nuclear war all over Taiwan. Now, this type of language shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because the Chinese government has been using this type of rhetoric for quite some time. It just so happens to be going against Japan at the moment. Now, they use this type of language for anybody that thinks that Taiwan should have their own sovereignty, their own independence, them being their own nation. They've used this type of rhetoric, not necessarily nukes, but they've used hostile rhetoric towards against the United States, us. They've used it against Japan in the past already. They've used it against Australia, as various other countries too. This comes from our friends over at Fox News, and they title it, China Threatens to Nuke Japan Over Taiwan in Video Played on CCP Sanctioned Channel. It starts off to say the Chinese Communist Party aired a video in which it warned Japan of a nuclear response and a full-scale war if the island nation interferes in China's handling of Taiwan. This is a little bit of what that video looks like.
我们在解放台湾时，如果日本胆敢武力干预，哪怕出动一兵一卒、一机一舰作战力量，我们不是对等还击，而是对日本全面开战，首战用核弹，连续用核弹，直到日本第二次宣布无条件投降。我们打击的是日本的战争承受力，只要日本认识到承受不起战争的代价，就不敢贸然出兵台海。我国在1964年第一颗原子弹爆炸成功时，对全世界承诺不对非核国家使用原子弹，不首先使用原子弹。尽管时间过去了近60年，我国的核威慑强度也受到一些影响，但这一决策依然是成功的，保障了我国的和平建设。现在国际形势大变，我国正处于百年未有之大变局之中，一切政略、战略和策略都要在大变局中做出调整和改变。为了保障我国的和平崛起，有必要对核政策做有限的调整。我们郑重提出日本例外论。
The video, which appeared on a channel approved by the CCP, singles out Japan as the one exception to China's policy to not use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear powers. Quote, we will use nuclear bombs first. We will use nuclear bombs continuously. We will do this until Japan declares unconditional surrender for the second time, referencing World War II, where the Americans dropped 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which ultimately led to the surrender of the Japanese. It goes on here to say the CCP claims that it will liberate Taiwan, and it warns against Japan deploying 1 soldier, 1 plane, and 1 ship. So you have some hostile language going on here saying, look, if you do anything around the area of Taiwan, we're going to go to war with you. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but the threats are being made. The video was deleted from Chinese platform after gaining 2 million views, but copies were uploaded to YouTube and Twitter. The threats follow comments made 2 weeks ago by Japanese officials about Taiwan's sovereignty, with the Deputy Prime Minister also saying that Japan must defend Taiwan. Quote, if a major incident happened over Taiwan, it's safe to say it should and would be related to a situation threatening the survival of Japan. If that is said, Japan and the United States must defend Taiwan altogether. However, also insists that Japan would resolve any issue through dialogue. Chief Cabinet Secretary Kato said that a Taiwan contingency is a hypothetical situation. And that's what you would want in this type of situation, is obviously not war, obviously not nuclear war over the island. Now, again, I support the Taiwanese government and the Taiwanese people of wanting their independence and sovereignty, but when you're talking about nuclear wars, you're talking millions of people are going to die here. It's not just going to be 100,000. It's not just going to be 500,000 or even 1 million. You're talking millions upon millions, and if not a global war that could potentially happen here. You're going to love this next part. China Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson urged Japan to adjust its mentality over the issue. It's not that China has to change anything. It's not that China has to change their mentality. Everybody else has to cater around them and what they want. They don't ask for what the Taiwanese people want. They don't ask other people what they think should happen. They're not creating dialogue here that's going to be anything positive. All they're doing is threatening people with nuclear war, because that's going to solve a lot of problems here. It's not going to create more problems, which it looks like it is. Quote, we once again urge Japan to approach the relevant issues with the right mentality and show its respect for China's sovereignty and sincerity in upholding regional peace and stability. Yes, coming from the people that are challenging Japan with nuclear war if Japan sets one soldier, one plane, or one ship in the area. Yes, you're the ones that are talking about respect. Yes, you're the ones that need to not change their mentality. Yes, you're the ones that want to talk about sovereignty and all these things. Give me a break. What a bunch of BS. Quote, I must stress that Taiwan is part of China, and the Taiwan question is purely China's internal affairs. China never allows interference in Taiwan questions in any form by any country. Yes, your rhetoric is definitely positive. Your rhetoric says anything and everything about peace. This is nuts, man. And the Taiwanese people deserve their own independence if that's what they want. They should be able to separate. Now, there is some history going back with Japan and China. If you look at Japan's history, they took over the island from China back when there was dynasties. And then you ultimately had World War II because China was technically in claim or supposedly in claim. I'm not too up on the history of the Chinese-Japan conflict, but from what I've heard and read in a synopsis, Japan had kind of claim over the territory. Japan surrendered the island after World War II. China ultimately had a civil war, which led to a lot of mainland China fleeing to Taiwan, establishing their own quote-unquote democracy or wanting their own democratic leadership in place. And now we get kind of the current levels here where China wants Taiwan or to take over Taiwan and inherit Chinese values as well as their communist government style. Taiwan doesn't want that. Taiwan wants their own independence. And look, us as a free nation and our own sovereign nation, we would want the same for other countries that want it, which is why you have Japan, United States, Australia, the NATO countries and allies combining together to go against China. Now, China to be talking like this right now is kind of nuts, especially after what they just did with COVID-19. Now, I know the Chinese government doesn't want to say they developed it and it leaked out of a Wuhan lab because then they're liable and responsible for everything that's happened on a global scale, and pretty much their economy would be shut down because, as we talked about in a previous episode, they should be paying reparations to all the nations, all the countries, because they're the ones that ultimately caused this problem. You have COVID-19. You also have all the countries, Australia, Japan, Canada, America, Australia, if I didn't already mention that. Anyways, all the NATO countries are going against China at the moment for their cybersecurity threats that they're putting on all the allies. So there's a lot of stuff going on with China, and now they're using this type of rhetoric. Not only are they trying to develop or have developed that man-made island, they're trying to expand what they're doing on a military level here by creating that recently the aircraft carrier, which is a new development for them. They're trying to steal technology from many nations, not just America. So there's a lot of stuff that the Chinese government is doing that is wrong. And so you're talking on a global level here. If you're messing with Japan, ultimately you're going to mess with other allies, United States, again, all the NATOs. So this could potentially lead to another war, potentially World War III, all over an island that wants its own sovereignty. Now, I don't know what the end goal here is of China wanting to go to war or threatening to nuke another country like Japan and kill millions upon hundreds of millions of people, all for the sake of an island. Like, does anybody else think that's crazy, or is it just me? Now, I get that China thinks that they own the claim to the territory and that territory's theirs and whatever, but at least start this up with some dialogue here and not this type of dialogue, not talking about, I'm going to nuke the shit out of you, I'm going to kill everybody. If you set one foot on that island, you're gone. I'm going to extinguish you. It's like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? It went from like a 1 to like a 10 real quick. It's just like you snapped. So, look, if they have this type of language, it makes me worried here that they're going based off feelings and not a lot of head thinking right now because, again, you're talking this type of language. What's stopping you from pressing the button real quick and just launching a nuke off to Japan? And there you go. Then you got a global war on your hands. Well, there you have it, folks. China threatens to nuke Japan over Taiwanese island. I support Taiwan. I think Taiwan should be its own independent nation. I probably can never visit China now, even though I have friends over there. But, it is what it is. With that being said, make sure you like and subscribe this video. Thank you for always supporting the channel, and I'll see you a little bit later here on The Bald Brad Show.